Hello, in this video we're going to explore a little bit with obtaining a mortgage. There's some vocabulary in here that might be new to you, so make sure you've read all the way through the notes before you try to work your way through the problems. As usual, I'm going to dive right into the examples. Tom and Sally are considering the purchase of a home that sells for $280,000. The down payment is 20%. Part A asks for how much is the down payment. The answer here is not 20%. We want to know the actual dollar amount. So to find that actual dollar amount, we're taking the home cost, which is $280,000, times that down payment as a decimal. Remember that we moved the decimal two places to the left, so that becomes 0.20. And so we can just use Desmos. $280,000 times 20% gives us $56,000 for the down payment. The amount of the mortgage then uses this formula right here. The mortgage loan amount is the selling price, which was that $280,000, minus the down payment, which is what we just found, $56,000. And we get a grand total there of $224,000. So that $224,000 is what you would be getting a loan for from your bank, credit union, etc. Sometimes banks will use these tables here that will help you find the monthly payment for a $1,000 loan. To actually use these numbers, we then need to take our mortgage and divide it by 1,000, and just so that way we know what to multiply these amounts by. So we'll be using these formulas here combined to figure out monthly payments and other things related to mortgages. Carol and Adam have applied for a $280,000 mortgage loan at 9% annual interest rate. The loan is for 30 years, and they pay an equal monthly payments that include interest. The first thing we want to find is the monthly payment, which is this right here. The monthly payment is the amount of the mortgage, so that's this $280,000 over 1,000 times the monthly payment for a $1,000 loan. The way we find the monthly payment for the $1,000 loan is we have a 9% annual interest rate for 30 years. So in the table, go to 9% interest rate in 30 years. The number we're going with is 8.05. So then let's do that all in Desmos. We can do it in one step. 280,000 divided by 1,000, arrow over, times 8.05 gives us $2,254. That is how much each monthly payment will be for. The amount paid refers to how much money this couple is going to be paying over the lifetime of the loan. So to find that, use the second formula here. Amount paid equals the monthly payment, which is what we just found, $2,254, times the number of payments. We know that this will be for 30 years, but the payments are monthly. There are 12 months in a year. So the number of payments is going to be 30 times 12, which is 360. And so then 2,254 times 360 gives us a total of $811,440 that these couple will be paying over the course of the whole loan. That's a lot more than what we started with, isn't it? That's because of interest. The total interest charged, we find that it's similar to what we've done in the past with finding total interest amounts. We use this formula here. Total interest charged is the amount paid, that big number we just found, $811,440, minus the original mortgage cost, which was $280,000. So let's use Desmos to help us with that. And we get $531,440. And so that is a lot to pay in interest, but they have been taking 30 years to pay for this, and 9% annual interest rate is very high. When you buy a house, there are closing costs associated with it. Some of those costs are flat fees. Some of those costs are based on a percentage of the mortgage cost. So we will be using this table here to help us with that. USA Mortgage has approved a mortgage loan for Karen and Henry at 7.5% annual interest rate for 15 years. The home has a $100,000 selling price. They need a 10% down payment. USA Mortgage will allow them to finance the closing costs as part of the mortgage. Use the table above to find the total closing costs. What actual amount did they finance the mortgage? So what we're looking for is the actual amount financed, which is eventually going to be this right here, the amount of the mortgage plus all the total closing costs. But we have to take a few steps to get there. First, we need to find the down payment. So the down payment is 10%, but it's 10% of the house's selling price. So to find that down payment, we do the selling price, $100,000, times 10%, which is the same as 0.10 when we write that as a decimal. You might be able to do that in your head, or you can use Desmos. We get to $10,000 for the down payment. So then that means that the mortgage amount as before is the selling price of the house, $100,000, minus the down payment, $10,000. 100 minus 10 is 90. So then the mortgage amount is $90,000. This $90,000 is very important because that's what we'll be using for all these that involve costs of the mortgage. So then to find all of the closing fees, it's going to be adding all the things in this table together. We're missing some information though. We're missing points, documentation step, and processing fee. The way we find those is by doing the percentage of the mortgage. So for points, 2% is the same as 0.02. So if we do 0.02 times the mortgage amount, 9,000, I'm going to just do that in Desmos, I get $180. So the points will be $180. Now let's do the same thing for the other ones that are percentages. 0.30% of the mortgage, when I move that 2 decimal places to the left, becomes this, which is 0.003. If I find that percentage of 9,000, amount of the mortgage, this should be 90,000, not 9,000. I missed a zero there. So this should be 1,800, not 180. Same idea here. It's not 9,000, it's 90,000. This becomes 270 for the documentation stamp. Last one, processing fee. Move that decimal 2 places to the left. And so the decimal we'll be dealing with is 0.011. When I do that percentage times the mortgage cost, 90,000, we get $990 for that fee. So then the sum of all the closing costs, total closing costs, is we just add everything in this table, 252, 65, 1,800, all these other amounts that we found here. So instead of writing that all out, I'm going to just do it in Desmos. I'm going to talk my way through it. Application fee, 252, borrower's credit check, 65, 1,800 for points, 225 appraisal fee, 212 for title search, 410 for title insurance, 350 for inspection, 450 for attorney fee, 270 for documentation stamp, 990 for processing fee. We get that the total closing costs is going to be $5,124. So then the thing that they were after for us in this problem, what is the actual amount they financed? That's going to be this formula right here. The amount financed is going to be the amount of the mortgage plus the total closing costs. 90,000 plus 5,124 gives us $95,124. That's how much the couple is financing, which was the mortgage amount plus all the closing costs. The last bit we are going to look at is a repayment schedule. And we've seen similar things with repayment schedules before. All these familiar formulas should seem very familiar. We're just looking at them now in the context of a house. Rod and Carrie obtained a 30-year, $280,000 mortgage loan from State Bank and Trust. The interest rate is 8%. Their monthly payment is $2,055.20. For the first payment, they want us to find out how much is going towards interest, how much is payment to principal, how much is the new principal. Interest, we should be very familiar with this formula now, is the principal, which is the cost of the mortgage loan, $280,000, times the rate, 8% is the same as 0.08, times the time. Since it is a monthly payment, there are 12 months in a year, so 1 month is 1/12 of a year. Get rid of all these numbers here. Let's do that in Desmos. 280,000 times 0.08 for 8% times 1 divided by 12. We're going to round this because we are dealing with money. Be 1,866, and 0.666 rounds to 0.67 and 67 cents there. The payment to principal, in case you've forgotten, the formula is right here. The payment to principal is the monthly payment, $2,055.20, minus the interest, which is the number we just found. So when I subtract those, I get how much is getting knocked down from the principal in that first payment. We get that $188.53 is going towards the principal. Not very much, but it's a start. So then the new principal, we've seen this before, but just as a friendly reminder, is the previous balance. Since this is the first payment, the previous balance is the starting amount of the loan, $280,000, minus the payment to principal, which was that dollar amount we just found. Probably want to subtract this in Desmos. We get $279,000, $811.47. So that's how much principal is still left, but that's only after the first month. So over time, that will continue to decrease more dramatically. That is it. Have a fantastic day.